Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, another day, another variant. Yes, many of you already know that a new version of the V has now popped its ugly head up in the South African countries. And I wanted to give you a quick rundown of what is happening in South Africa and in those other South African countries, because I don't think these countries are actually getting the credit that they deserve. Now, South Africa has some of the best virologists in the world working within its borders. We know this because of the epicenter of the AIDS virus. Well, it's in South Africa, apparently. We know how it spread there. It doesn't take a genius to know why the AIDS virus is there and in abundance, but that's a story for another day. So those virologists are well versed in virology. They've been working on the AIDS virus for the past 30, 40 years. Now, a number of these South African countries have now been put on a banned travelers list. South Africa, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, Eswatini and Botswana have all now been put on the banned travelers list, which is big time unfair, but perhaps useful. Now, I'm going to tell you about why this is big time unfair, but first I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon, link in the description. I'd also like to ask you to please follow the Oversight channel, the channel that is there to help you to invest on the African continent, both safely and securely. Link also in the description. So the South African virologists were the first to notice this new potent strain. Apparently it's more potent. We don't know. We just know what they've been telling us. And why would they lie? I don't think they're lying. I think they're being open and honest with us, just like they've been open and honest about this new version, which they are now calling Omicron. This new version, which they are now calling Omicron, it gave the rest of the world a chance to regroup and gather and make decisions before the virus spread out and started infesting other parts of the world. They really did really well to try and catch this thing as soon as they saw it. Now, they found it, and within 3 days, everybody knew that South Africa had this potent strain within its borders, and that it was likely that there were other people that had the virus within other countries surrounding South Africa. This is absolutely brilliant. Because all the other countries were then notified, they were able to put a block on the travelers from South Africa, which meant it lessened the chances of the virus spreading throughout the world. But there are other countries throughout the world who have also now realized that this potent version of the virus is now within their borders too. There isn't much they can do about it, and they're still studying it. Guys, we need to give the South Africans praise for this. Really need to do that, because the South Africans were on the brink of reopening their borders and reopening all their businesses for the summer season. Yes, it's summer in South Africa. I don't know if you realize this, but it is the summer season. It is the open vacation season. Everybody comes to South Africa during the winter months that we experience up here in the Northern Hemisphere. And so they knew this. They knew what was at stake. They knew that if they were going to tell the international community about this new potent strain, that they would close down all the borders, which would have a big impact, a negative impact on the South African economy. But they still went ahead and said it. They put other people's lives first. Something that they didn't do when it first came out during the outbreak in China. When it first came out, which was back in December of 2019, I was not far from the Wuhan lab, actually, We was only a couple of 100 kilometers away from the Wuhan lab. We were in Shanghai, which is not far away from Wuhan. So we heard about it. We wore masks anyway, but everybody was wearing masks. It's just one of the things that they did. But you didn't talk about it. You could tell that people did not talk about it. It wasn't a big discussion, but it should have been, because people were taking this deadly virus that they had picked up and contracted within China, and they were jumping on planes and flying everywhere. Clearly, there were lots of people who perhaps didn't feel that well who were jumping on planes with us. Back to London, back to Zurich, back to Vienna. They were doing that thing. How are we to know that you are an incubator for a virus? You don't know. Now that we have the data, now that these brilliant virologists in South Africa, like I said at the beginning, they're the best in the world. Now that these brilliant virologists found it, they told us that they found it in South Africa. This doesn't mean that it originated in South Africa. We don't know where it's come from. I just find it strange that this thing keeps mutating the way that it does. Now, I don't know much about the virus. All I know is about the impact and the implications that it's having for many South Africans. One South African man said he doesn't even know how he's going to feed his children if he is unable to open up to tourists this season. It's going to have a horrendous impact. The question is, did the world overreact? The South African government is saying that the world overreacted, but that's all they can do. They had to say something to the South Africans, the normal everyday South Africans that knew what was coming, right? Because a lot of people work in the tourist industry in South Africa. The only thing they could do was tell them and grin and bear it and just hope that there were other countries that were going to be a little bit more lenient. But it seems as though everyone is blaming South Africa like they are the people who created it. They weren't the people that created it. Variant of the virus may have mutated in South Africa, but we all know where this virus came from. We know where it came from, don't we? 2 planes landed in Amsterdam that had come from South Africa, and when those planes landed in Amsterdam, they held everybody in those airplanes for 4 hours. When they took them out of the airplanes, they tested everybody on both those airplanes, and 61 people on those aircraft had the virus. 61 people on the aircraft had the virus. Now, I know what you're saying. Weren't these people tested before they came here? No, not all of them were tested. You didn't have to be tested. Why? Because they had already taken the snake bite. If you've taken the snake bite, you don't need to take a test. You can't catch it, right? Wrong. We are in this situation now where this new variant may need a new snake bite. So all those people who have had the old snake bite, you may need to take a whole set of new snake bites just to combat this new variant. And I feel sorry for the people that have taken the snake bite now. A lot of those people don't really feel sorry for people like me, people who are not taking the snake bite. But I'm going to be honest with you, I feel sorry for those people who have taken the snake bite and will now need to take the snake bite 2, 3, 4 more times, a new version of it, just to combat the new variant, which may rear its ugly head here in Europe or on the shores of the United States. Now, regardless of whether it dies out and we don't really see it again this winter, what is going to happen is that we do have governments who are opportunists and they are taking advantage of the situation. And what they are doing is they're using the situation to garner more control over the people and also to line the pockets of their buddies that manufacture PPE and, of course, the snake bite. So we know that this is happening. We know that people are making money from this pandemic. We understand that. We understand that it's the people who are in charge who are taking advantage. They are taking advantage of the situation, and they don't mind these lockdowns. They don't mind the fact that there is a new variant. This is good news to them. It means that this thing is going to be prolonged, which means that they're going to be needed more and more. It's a sad situation, but this is capitalism. It's the way it works, right? No end in sight. All we can do is make sure that we are resilient with our questioning and also with our reasoning behind doing the things that we need to do to either continue on our jobs or to make sure we don't take this snake bite. It's all down to you guys. I can't answer the question for you. I've already answered the question for myself and for my family. So all I can say is good luck to you guys. Make sure you do your research. Be careful with who you're speaking to. Try and do your best to focus on 2022 because it's not going to get any better in 2022. Make sure you make your exits plan. You know what's going on in Africa. You know that Africa has the least amount of deaths per capita. You should be safer in these places, in these bigger, more isolated communities away from everybody else. The choice is up to you guys. So guys, that's all I have to say for today. I hope things get better, but like I say, I can only sit here and tell you about what is happening. It's you that's going to need to take the decisions. So guys, that's all I've got time for tonight. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'd like to thank you for staying by actually, because right now I'm just about recovered from whatever it was. I don't know if you can see this. You can see this and see this and see this. These marks on my head, God knows where they came from. Really, I was just not in a good situation, but now I feel good. So I'm happy to be back, and we'll be back to our regular screening as of Monday. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until the next time, please think twice. Ta-ra a bit.